welcome to Leading Forward. I am Maureen Dingus, and today I am here with Dave Peters of Peters Professional Education. You might also recognize Dave. He has been in our ethics course. He teaches a lot of sessions at our conferences, and he is kind of a familiar face to a lot of folks. So, Dave, thank you for joining us today.
Maureen, thank you so much for having me, and it's great to be partnering with the Virginia Society of CPAs. So thanks for having me on. This is cool.
Awesome. So I think the first time I met you, I don't even know if you remember, you helped out with an insurance task force we had here at the Society because you were working, I think, for Elephant Insurance at that point. So you've had quite an interesting career path. So could you give us a little bit of a snapshot of your leadership journey? How did you come to be leading Peters education professionals?
So I was a staff accountant for Elephant Auto Insurance back in the early days too. I think Elephant has over 800 employees these days. I was employee number 50. That was how long ago that was, and I worked there for a while. I was in charge of statutory and regulatory accounting there, and that position kind of grew over time. As the company grew, and the company we did a nice job of kind of getting ourselves out there and really expanding, especially in the early days, because Maureen, if you think about it, starting any company, but especially an insurance company, an insurance company is kind of crazy. It's a highly regulated product. Yes. And that was a tough way to go, but we managed to make it work. And so I had some good years there at Elephant, and then I went and I became the first CFO of Compare.com, which is a price comparison website, sort of like Kayak for auto insurance, which is another company right out of Glen Allen. We grew pretty fast as well, especially early on. And so I did that for a few years. And then I wanted to try something a little bit different. So I worked at Carroll Financial Associates, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they do financial planning and money management for folks. And so I did that for a little while. And then I decided that I wanted to go out on my own, and just because I wanted the opportunity to kind of, I felt like anyway that I had a pretty unique skill set. I had worked in insurance. My background was really in tax accounting. And then I had done some things in insurance, helped start a couple of insurance companies, helped, and worked as a financial planner, financial advisor for a little while. And so I wanted the opportunity to kind of put all of that together. And then the education aspect kind of started to happen. And I started I think just because of that, I think just because, kind of my skill set, I think, people were interested in some of the things that I was, that I had some knowledge on. And so I started teaching ethics for the Virginia Society of CPAs. And that just, it kind of kept on kind of snowballing. And these days, I'm a national instructor for Kaplan, national instructor for Surgeon, a national instructor for the AICPA, and I still do a lot of stuff with the Virginia Society of CPAs, do a lot of stuff with the North Carolina Association of CPAs, and I'm also the business and industry advisor for CPE in the state of South Carolina. So the South Carolina Association of CPAs, I do a lot with them as well, and so. I really enjoy doing that. It's a lot of fun to meet all the practitioners and hear all the things that practitioners go through.
Right. Well, just hearing that journey, you sound very entrepreneurial. So that's quite a great way for you to express all of that right now with with how you're teaching and very engaging. I know that when you started teaching for us, we would get a lot of requests for you. So
Yeah.
definitely an engaging persona.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, I really do. I try really hard to, to be helpful in the classes that I teach and try to make it so that it's something that people want to listen to. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
that.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on is kind of that that idea that you were bringing together what you were really good at. You created something that you probably back when you were at Elephant didn't imagine that you'd be a national instructor. I don't know if that was on your vision board.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
So it really, it sounds like you took the opportunities as they came, but not all of it was by luck or by mistake. There had to have been some thought into, well, how do I grow this? So when you were evolving into this thought leader, what were some of the things that that you tried to put into place?
Well, I mean, I guess a couple of things sort of immediately come to mind. I remember. One of the things I'm working on on my doctorate degree. I'm actually at the dissertation stage. I'm working on a doctorate in financial planning, and one of the things that I had one of my professors tell me is he said, he's like. You can't just do a dissertation on anything. He goes, it's a whole lot easier if you do a dissertation on a conversation that's kind of already happening. So, so he used the analogy of a dinner party. You got lots of people kind of talking about, various things. And if you're, you may have something that might be like really, really interesting to you. But like, if it's not interesting to everybody else, like you're going to be in the corner, like sitting and talking to yourself,
Right.
okay. And it's going to be like you and the buffet table and that's about it. Right. and so, so like one of the things that I mean, when I was, looking to do more speaking and do more teaching is what were the things that people are interested in? What are some things that in our profession, in the tax world, in the financial planning world, in the in the insurance world? I mean, what were some things that people were curious about, and what could I offer in those areas? I've had several people, that have said to me, have expressed to me that, that they wanted to get started, speaking. And they will say things like, well, I want to talk about this. Fine. I mean, I'm glad that you're passionate about something. That's cool. That's great. Okay. But if no one wants to hear about it, you're going to be talking to yourself. Right. And so I think that it's, so that's one thing that I try to do kind of early on is try to find the conversations that people are interested in. Right. I mean, what are some topics? Because, and honestly, it wasn't really that hard, Maureen, because the things that other people were interested in the profession, I mean, those were things that my clients were asking. Those were things that I was asking myself. I mean, it wasn't hard to sort of find, areas where people were, where people were interested in certain topics. And so that was one thing I did, was I kind of sought out conversations that were already happening. And then I also tried to just, do some things, to maybe just, to just offer, if there was, if you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who's in charge of the conference or something like that, say, hey, I would, if you need help, let me know. I'm, I'll do what I can.
Right. So that idea of truly being of service.
Yeah. Because that's really what it's all about. I mean, and I know that I think for a lot of people that they find that to be kind of odd, because they say, well, what do I want to talk about? No, I mean, if it's about what they want to hear. It's not, honestly, it's not very often about what you want to talk about too often. Right. So,
So One of the other things that I find so interesting about you is that every time I'm on LinkedIn or other social media, you're there. And,
Yeah.
have you always had this interest in social media, or is that something similar to where are the conversations happening?
Yeah. I I have not I mean I've not always been like sort of interested in social media. There's I mean it took me a while to sort of get comfortable with it, but um I share the things on social media that I think that, that again, I think that people would be interested in. If I've made an appearance on, on Cheddar TV. I did that here recently. Or if I did an appearance on Fox News, I did that recently too. Or if we're advertising for new classes,
Right, right,
those types of things. I mean, and I think that, for me, I just found it as a way to kind of get, information out there and to interact with people
right, right,
and to see the cool stuff that people are doing.
right.
I mean, so I think that and yeah, sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming. I don't think that I necessarily live on LinkedIn.
Right, right.
I don't necessarily want to, but but yeah, I check in, especially if especially if I've heard an interesting speaker or something like that at a conference, or if I've talked to a CPA about his or her practice, and they're saying I'm going to move into this, that, the other thing, and then they make an announcement on
Right,
LinkedIn and they say
right.
I did it, and I'm like, that's a thumbs up.
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's cool. You want to,
Yay.
so it gives you a chance to kind of
Right.
celebrate some of those
Celebrate.
things, I think.
I need to back up for a minute. You said Cheddar TV.
Yes, correct.
What's that?
Yes. Okay, Cheddar TV is it's just a news outlet. If you've gone to the gas station recently, I think I saw Cheddar TV was playing, and like how like you're
Oh,
pumping your
right, right,
gas and you
right.
got like the little like TV. So that's Cheddar. They do a lot of stuff online, and they do a very nice job. I mean, it's a 24-hour news coverage, and but it's they use a lot of streaming
I
services and
gotcha.
social media and things like that, and it's
So how do
uh
you get connected with something like that? Or you mentioned Fox News. How did that happen?
it's happened over time, and with the help of some folks that I've hired to help me do that,
Right,
because getting into kind of the mainstream is it takes time. I mean, it's like any other marketing that you do. Good marketing takes time. Good marketing is not something where it's like, I'm going to throw an ad out there and people are just going to eat it up. I mean,
right, right,
that doesn't really happen too often, even if the ads are good. It's just constantly kind of, you have to have
right.
people that are kind of reaching out and being sort of purposeful about, about doing that.
So you have a team that helps you with this.
Correct.
Right,
Yep.
right, right.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. I have a team that helps me. I have an assistant who is outstanding. Her name is Brianne, and she does a great job. And she helps me out with my clients, and she helps me out with putting stuff up on the on our new education website for continuing education. So petersprofessionaleducation.com. I have a website where folks can go and get on-demand CPE. So she helps me out with that. My brother Evan edits all my video content, and makes it so that I actually look good, and actually maybe so that maybe I sound like I know what I'm doing, and so so that's good. And then I have a couple of other folks too
Right,
that help me out, and a couple of outside groups too, and so it is a team effort,
right, right.
you know,
So
and and they've also, I think it's good to work with a team too, because you try things that maybe you wouldn't normally do.
Push you a little.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I recently got on Twitter, and I always said that I would never do that. And here we are. So,
well, speaking of that, you said Twitter, the news networks, LinkedIn. How would you, what advice or pathway would you suggest a person take that might be thinking about their personal brand or their firm brand? Where would they go?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't think that there is kind of one specific answer for folks, because and you and I were kind of talking before we hit the record button here, and that I think that when you're marketing yourself, or you're marketing your firm, or any sort of way where you're sort of putting out kind of who you are to the public, it's gotta feel comfortable. It has to feel like something that that fits with your personality, fits with your skill set to a point. A lot of CPA firms that I talk to, they a lot of CPA firms put out blogs and things like that. I think that's a great way, to get word out about things. But like you and I were talking about here just a minute ago, if you don't like writing, if you're a CPA who doesn't like writing, you're going to hate blogging. I mean, right? I mean, so I think that that's the case. I do a podcast. My podcast is called Accountable. And I like talking to people that are doing things in the industry, and people that are maybe can talk about things that are that are kind of on the mind of folks in the industry. We did a podcast recently with someone to talk about social wellness. I'm sorry, mental wellness.
Right.
And that's a hot topic right now. So she is someone who works with people, on a regular basis, and Nikissa Craig is her name. From Whole Journey Wellness, and she came on to Accountable and talked about how do we deal with this stuff in the workplace, because I think there's a lot more attention on that now. I've had Brian Marks, one of my favorite people in the Richmond area, to talk about health insurance benefits and things like that.
So it's definitely beyond tax. It's more of the world of what people are dealing with.
Yes, we bill it as the podcast for CFOs by a CFO.
Right.
And and I really enjoy that, but I don't know that I would recommend every CPA saying, okay, go start a podcast. I think naturally, some of us, we really love talking to people, and sometimes for some of us, I think it kind of gives us energy.
Right.
I think you would probably fit into that category. I think there's other people where it just that drains us, that's just not a place where we get energy. Well, if that's not a place where you get energy, I don't think that you're going to want to do that. Right. So I think if you put yourself out there on anything, you got to want to do it, and you got to want to do it a lot.
Right. Find what fits.
Yeah, find what fits, and also just find one of those things where you enjoy doing it, because again, any marketing, in order to be effective, you're going to have to do it on a regular basis. It's, our podcast drops every 2 weeks, our email blasts go out, on a regular schedule. Right. Those types of things, again, in order to be effective, I think that's what you got to do. A friend of mine used to call that dripping on people. I don't know if I like that analogy or not, but I get the idea.
My friend Brian Marks used to say that. I don't know if
yeah.
I always say Brian, come on.
Yeah.
There's something about it that I hear what he's saying, but there was a little bit in me that
Yeah, it's almost like reminds me of when it's raining outside and it's just enough to be annoying,
just to drive you crazy.
But so I don't know if I like that analogy either, but you get the idea. It's like you gotta stay kind of top of mind.
Right, absolutely. Now you mentioned your new your website that you're working on, and I wanted to hear a little bit from you about the trends that you're seeing in education in general.
Yeah, sure. So the website is petersprofessionaleducation.com. We are busily testing the website, and we're going to have that ready to go by the busy CPE season. So, basically, once all those tax extensions get in, and every CPA, not only in Virginia, but throughout the nation, goes, hey, I should probably do my CPE. So
Right.
that usually happens about October 16th. That's we'll have the website ready to go by then, and we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to offer some cool stuff and some good content there. Trends that I'm seeing, I mean, like, the most obvious one is all of the online learning. I mean, we're doing more online now than I think I ever envisioned.
Right.
A lot of that is out of necessity. I think some of the online learning content I think out there is really good. I think that there is other stuff that is not so good.
Right.
And I think that there is and I think that practitioners, I think especially the ones that I talk to, I think they're slowly learning what where the good CPE is.
Right. Right.
So in terms of content, I mean, I think you're seeing a lot more on things like data analytics. I think people are realizing in CPA land, people are realizing that CPAs are being called upon, CFOs, controllers, those kind of folks are being called upon to do a lot more than just kind of debits on the left, credits on the right anymore.
Right.
If that ever was the case, I don't know, and data is a big area. I think risk management is another one that's on a lot of people's mind, especially anything technology related. In a lot of my risk management courses, I've been talking a lot about cyber insurance and things like that, because that's a big issue right now, not only in CPA land, but also in the insurance industry. I mean, companies are really, working hard to try to understand kind of some of those risks that are out there. Those are two. In the tax world, it's been a topsy-turvy, year and a half. I mean, we've had 4 gigantic tax bills go through in the last, 18, 19 months. And we have 2 more that are sitting on the table. And so there's a lot of energy around that. New partnership basis rules, those types of things. Those are at least a few. I think also too, just some of the courses that I've seen a lot of interest in here more recently is around, I do a course called The History of Investing, which talks about kind of how investing and investing theory has kind of changed over time. We've gotten very good response on that. Anything that we've done related to managing people, anything where I touch on remote management, because I think a lot of people are still getting used to this idea that, like, hey, I can't see the people that I'm talking to. So those are at least some of the big trends that I see in terms of content.
Right. Have you found that with the remote teaching, what we're doing right now, with just whether it's Zoom or other platforms, the techniques you've had to use have changed, or what have you found is most effective in that virtual environment?
Yeah, it's funny because I've attended a lot of workshops and things like that about engagement online and that kind of stuff, and I mean, it's a two-way street. I mean, I think the participants in the class, they gotta want to get something out of it. I think that's part of it. The person out there, I mean, my I guess method, I guess, of trying to help people out and trying to keep them working with me on the content is actually just being direct. And so kind of the same thing I do in the classroom, where I just where I ask a lot of questions and things like that. I also, I remember one class too, I had here recently where, I had a lot of people with their cameras off and stuff like that. And I understand. I mean, it's hard to be on camera for, especially if it's like a 4-hour session or something like
Right.
that. And but I just told people, I said, look, I said, if you can't understand, I said, let me know what's going on, because I said, I can't see your face, and honestly, from a teaching perspective, like that's actually the hardest thing. If I can't see your expression,
Right.
like, I don't know if you're like, yeah, this is great, I'm with you, all good, this is easy stuff, or if you're like, if it's like, I have no idea what you're talking
Right.
about,
Right.
and
You're losing
and
me.
you're losing me,
You're boring me.
you're boring me. Yeah, I mean, all those things. I
Right.
mean, and so I just started asking people like, hey, are you following? If you're not, ping me in the chat box. Let me know what, how can I help? And people generally, I think, respond to that, because
Right.
sometimes they're just waiting for somebody to just say like, hey, are you good or not?
Right.
And so I've kind of found that like the more direct I am, actually, the better it usually goes.
Right. 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 So it's not fancy engagement tools or tricks. It's really
Yeah, but again, I think that some of that is also, depends on personality too.
right. Right.
I think, I've heard some instructors have had really good luck with some animation and putting some things in with like, that are like movie clips and that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Right.
Um, that's not personally
Right.
something I do. It's not a place where I feel
Right.
comfortable.
Right.
Um, but they've had good luck with it.
Right.
And
Just like we were saying with the other things, find what works for you, find what you're comfortable with.
yeah, and like, for me, like, breakout rooms and, discussion and, just having asking people, what do they see in their practice, in their daily lives, and their, client lives. That to me works pretty well, but again, that's me.
Right.
I think, whereas like, I don't know that I would feel comfortable putting in the movie clip, unless it's like right on point or something. I'm.
Right. So we've covered a lot of ground in a little bit of time. Your leadership journey, your how you've grown your education company, your social media persona, branding. Is there what other bits of information or advice would you give to someone who maybe is thinking about taking a step into this area?
Yeah, I mean, if they're looking to get into teaching and instructing, it's I think it's something that we collectively as a profession, we need good instructors. We need people who are who are not just sort of good in their field, but really enjoy kind of that. I used to call it the light bulb moment.
Right.
Where it's like, the joy that comes along with being able to work through something with somebody, and then when they get it, that's powerful. So I would say, one, I think we need instructors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, not just in Virginia, I would actually say across the United States. If you're looking to get involved, I think there's opportunities to do that, at the state level. That's where I started. If that is not where you want to be, if it's maybe you want to teach at the college level, I did some of that too. Being an adjunct professor at one of the universities, plenty of universities. We have some of the best schools in the country in Virginia, and there's plenty of places to get involved there if you want, or even some of the community colleges and things like that. if that's kind of more your style,
Right.
if you want to work with people kind of over a longer period of time. I think that there's opportunities to do that. But I think you got to really enjoy it. You gotta love working with people, talking with people, and really want to help them learn something new.
Right.
I think if you just come up there and you're like, hey, I want to generate leads, well, I think you're probably going to get tired out pretty quick.
Right.
That's
And
my opinion,
people
but
can see that a mile away, right?
well, yeah, too. I also think too that I think a lot of people they kind of know when we all know when we're trying to be sold.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we smell it because we see it coming, and so sometimes leads happen, sometimes they don't. But I think if you're going to get up, you're going to talk in front of a conference. Enjoy that experience. Enjoy. This. We have so many smart, good people in our profession that can offer a lot, and I hope that there's that people, if they're feeling that way, that they they reach out to you, they reach out to the CPA Society in Virginia, or even some of the local chapters and that kind of stuff. I mean, they're looking for good people.
I was at a seminar recently, and the person said that was their first one, and she said,
"Oh, good.
I can't get to my 100th unless I've had my first." So,
that was her goal, huh?
Yeah,
100 of them. Oh, good. Yeah, good.
I don't know if it was really 100, but just the point of I have to have one before I have the next one. So.
What's that old saying? It's like a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, or whatever that is.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Maybe that was what she was riffing on. So,
yeah.
Dave, you've been just a joy to talk with. I do have one last question for you. What do you do for fun?
I don't have a lot of spare time these days. But when I do have it, I love to shoot pool. But kind of before the pandemic, I was playing pretty regularly in pool leagues, and I used to play all the time in Richmond. And the pandemic kind of spoiled some of our fun there. But I like doing that. I like to bowl too. I'm a bowler. I also there for a while I was playing in some of the soccer leagues in the Richmond area. So it's amazing how much faster the ball moves when you're when you're a little older as compared to when you're in high school. I will say that.
So but you're not a competitive guy, are you?
I mean, I like playing. I like kind of getting out there and just kind of
being with people.
Just doing. Yeah, and doing kind of different things. I also like also going to the racetrack too. My dad and I grew up going to stock car races when I was a kid up in Wisconsin, and my dad and I still get a chance to go to a few races every year, and so we actually just got back from a trip to Ohio here recently, and so I do a lot of that too.
Awesome. Well, that sounds fun. It was great to get to know a little bit more about you. I hadn't heard all those things, so we'll know what to catch up on next. So, Dave, again, thank you so much. It's just been great to talk to you, and I appreciate you spending your time with us.
Maureen, thank you so much, and thanks to the Virginia Society of CPAs. This was great.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So make sure that you tune in to Leading Forward. We have a bunch of episodes up on our site that you can check out, and remember to subscribe and like our episodes. So, all right. Thank you. Bye.